So this is the beautiful Lehigh Gorge. We're looking down at Glenanoco State Park. Um, Zoom out a little bit. There you can see that's the Lehigh River down there. It makes a 90-degree turn here, goes down this way, and then it makes another 90-degree turn. We're actually on a rock face standing above Turnhull Tunnel, which is an abandoned Central Railroad of New Jersey tunnel. You can see the piers from the Turnhull Tunnel there. Originally, they had a tunnel through this mountain to, and then the tracks went that way up the gorge, along the river, along this side of the river. And the Lehigh Valley is that bridge that you see the tracks on. That's where the big boy's going to be. There's a bicyclist going across the bridge. That's where the big boy's going to be in a couple days, along with the Reading 2102 steam engine. And at some point, I don't know if the C&J made arrangements with the Lehigh Valley or they got permission from the state. They realigned their main because the tunnel was getting a little hard to maintain. So they realigned it to the bridge that car just drove across. That's the old Central Railroad of New Jersey bridge. And the rail trail bike path, the Delaware and Lehigh rail trail, which goes from Scranton all the way to Philadelphia, essentially. It's broken up in a few places still, but this part is pretty continuous up through the gorge. And you can ride all the way up through the gorge there. Beautiful ride. It's about, I think, another 20 miles till you hit civilization. Once you leave here, there's no cell service, but it's a beautiful ride. It's actually, if you go this way, you're going upgrade. It was a fairly decent grade going up through the gorge because the river was rapids. You can see rapids down there. This is a big whitewater rafting river. Saturday, this will be full of, and Sunday full of rafts and kayakers. And you can go up the path, but it's actually, I always like to get dropped off 20 miles to the north and ride downhill the whole way. It's a nice, easy ride. Beautiful scenery. But I'm a bit of a whim. If you're a good bicyclist, you won't need to do that. So I'm up here. I was just kind of scoping it out for the big boy because I wanted to give some of the people that are coming up to visit me to see the big boy a second opportunity. You're not going to be down close and personal with it, but it offers almost like a drone vantage point without having a drone. So there's a trail. You can kind of see through the woods. I don't know. Somebody's walking there. There's a famous set of waterfalls, the Glenanoco Falls. I think that's what they're called. I'm probably wrong about that. It's one of those typical BS stories about a Indian princess and a white man, falling off the falls. I don't even remember it, but I think it's the same one that's in 20 different waterfalls across the U.S. with different Indian tribes and different Indian names. But that trail's been closed for about 5 years. There were a number of deaths on it. It's a fairly treacherous trail. Now, the interesting thing is this whole area was actually fairly well developed in the late 1800s, early 1900s by the railroads, the Lehigh Valley. There was a large hotel over there, very large Victorian hotel on the bank of the Lehigh there. There was a bridge that went across. There was a whole, bandstands, pavilions all through the park here, and actually the trail up to the waterfalls was actually fairly easy trail because it was all like bridges and steps, and they were all rotted away and gone. So that's why the trail's fairly treacherous now and everything's wet. So the trail's been replaced with, like I said, a closed trail now. But it was in the Victorian times and into the 1900s. This was a fairly big tourist attraction. There was a station here that the railroad would discharge passengers, the Lehigh Valley, I believe, not the CNJ. And it was a well attended area. This town was always a tourist area, even though it was very industrial apex or nexus of American industrialization. It was also a big tourist area. Actually, believe it or not, because of the industrialization, people came to see coal mines and railroads and all kinds of fancy new technology. But the CNJ, these tracks both, this was the CNJ main line, and it ended up in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. The Lehigh Valley went up here, but then the Lehigh Valley did all go all the way up to the Scranton area, but it also had a branch that diverged off through Weatherly and up into Hazleton to access their coal mines. So the CNJ had a branch farther back to town. Town's that way, around the bend here, and they had a branch that went towards their coal mines. So all these railroads were about getting anthracite coal out of the mountains. That's it. That was their purpose. They carried passengers, but their primary purpose was to move coal out of the mountains. Now the canal also came down here. Before the railroads, there was a canal. And so you can kind of see these are fairly treacherous waters. And this canal, when it was built, which was the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Canal, was considered kind of the apex of American technology at the time. The locks were deeper and bigger than any other any other canal that had been built. And it just was, an incredible, feat of engineering with a river like this. They would have all kinds of problems with floods. Damage from floods. The railroad did too. The railroads have been wiped out here a few times. There's better flood control now. There's a dam that holds back the water to prevent flooding. And believe it or not, on weekends they release water from the dam for the whitewater rafters to kind of encourage tourism. There's a dam release on weekends, so as long as they have enough water to release, they'll release water. And these rapids get much bigger, much fun. Less likely to get stuck on rocks going down. And you can kind of see down in the river there is some kind of structure down there. I've been down there so many times and I've never seen it. I'm not sure if that's a piece of track that fell down there or what that was, but there's kind of a structure down there. You can kind of see these bridges. Now, this bridge, the track closest to us is owned by the Reading and Northern. The track furthest from us is owned by Norfolk Southern. So it's a fairly interesting arrangement. And just about a mile this way, the closest track from the Reading Northern track actually crosses over on a bridge over the Lehigh Valley track and goes on CNJ tracks, which was formerly the bridge, into Jim Thorpe and also into Nescahoning. And that's the route that the big boy's going to take. So you can kind of see how high we are up here. I'm going to add a picture of the tunnel so you can get the other perspective. All right. There's an 11 o'clock train, it's 11:02, leaving Jim Thorpe Station. So I'm going to stop filming and then I'll turn the camera back on when the train goes by. All right, so you can hear the diesels coming up the gorge, or diesel probably. Although I do have the F units in town, the F9s, so they might be running with them today. Most of the time it's a GP38-2. And it's funny because I'm fairly hard of hearing over, years of using machinery without ear protection. Don't do that, kids. And but my wife tells me I could hear a diesel train from 30 miles away. And she's probably right about that. I don't know why. Selective, I guess. So you can hear it. They are going downgrade for a little bit, and then because they cross over the valley tracks. The valley tracks are kind of lower, and they go down the one side of the river, and then the C&J crosses over to the other. But as they blend in with the Lehigh Valley tracks and get off the old C&J tracks, which is a bike path, they're going to have to start churning all the way up pretty much the mountains here, and even further up they used to use how to use helpers, 20 or 30 miles up this railroad here. So. It's going right now through what's called rock cut. It's about a couple hundred yards, and there's a rock face that separates the Lehigh Valley from the old C&J, and it's actually one of the only places that you can't, you're not right along the tracks if a train comes. So I always got to run through that section to make sure I don't miss the train coming if I'm taking pictures or something. So thanks for watching. Sorry I haven't been posting lately. I've been making a lot of videos. I just haven't had time to post them. So we're going to hopefully see the big boy here or down there on Sunday morning, and I'll post some videos of that. Take care, and looking forward to seeing all of you that are coming up to visit me for the weekend. Take care.